Hi everyone, I'm Anna, your Cinephile host. Today I'd like to discuss an exhilarating, surreal, and unapologetic drama called Trainspotting. The visual imagery of this film rivals anything you're likely to see on the movie screen. Trainspotting follows the tribulations of a group of heroin junkies in Scotland right down to the very graphic heart of the matter in way more detail than we really need to know. The movie captures the life-consuming power of addiction in all its complexity. Its depiction of heroin addiction is so raw and gritty that you walk away with the realization that heroin is a drug not to be messed with. The characters love drugs, hate them, try to get off them, fail miserably, and sometimes even willingly watch their friends die, and then, well, you should experience the rest yourself. So let's watch Trainspotting. 26-year-old Mark Renton is an unemployed heroin addict living in the suburbs of Edinburgh, Scotland, with his friends Simon Sick Boy Williamson, Daniel Spud Murphy, Francis Franco Bagby, an aggressive psychopath, and Thomas Tommy McKenzie, an honest footballer. To afford their fix of heroin, the group, excluding Bagby who prefers alcohol and Tommy, who is clean, commits petty crimes. Renton decides to quit heroin, though it is implied he has tried before, and follows a withdrawal program that Sick Boy devised. Renton locks himself in his room to endure withdrawal. When he returns to the outside world and is still trying to stay clean, it turns out that Sick Boy has also decided to quit heroin, likely in order to cheapen Renton's struggles in breaking addiction.
Take Sick Boy, for instance. He came off junk at the same time as me, not because he wanted to, you understand, but just to annoy me, just to show me how easily he could do it, thereby downgrading my own struggle. Sneaky fucker, don't you think?
Renton goes to a club with his friends where he meets a young woman called Diane. They leave together and go to Diane's apartment. Renton stays the night on the couch and is horrified the following morning when he discovers that Diane is actually a 15-year-old high school student. He tries to put the incident behind him, but Diane has a different idea. She threatens to tell the police that they had an affair if he does not stay in touch with her. Meanwhile, Tommy and Spud also have a terrible night, and eventually Renton, Spud, and Sick Boy start to use heroin again, stealing drugs, equipment, and cash to support their habit. Tommy also begins to use the drug after becoming depressed due to being dumped by his girlfriend, Elizabeth. Even the negligence-induced death of Dawn, the infant daughter of Allison, a fellow user, does not convince the group to recover. Renton and Spud are arrested for shoplifting, and Spud receives a 6-month custodial sentence, while Renton escapes on probation due to entering a drug rehabilitation program. Renton quickly relapses and nearly dies of an overdose at the home of his dealer. Upon returning home after revival at a hospital, Renton's parents lock him in his childhood bedroom and force him to go cold turkey. Following a difficult withdrawal punctuated with horrible hallucinations of his friends and Diane. Renton is released upon condition that he has an HIV/AIDS test, and the result turns out to be negative. It is implied earlier in the film that this may be due to the fact that Renton often cooked up the heroin for his friends and took the first hit. Diane visits Renton to ask if he has been tested, and when he tells her that he is negative, she invites herself into his apartment. They sleep together again, and she convinces him to make a change in his life. Renton moves to London and takes a job as a real estate agent. He begins to enjoy his sober, drug-free life and starts saving up money while staying in touch with Diane. Bagby and Sick Boy show up at Renton's studio apartment and move in unannounced. Bagby has committed an armed robbery and is hiding from the police, and Sick Boy has become a pimp and a drug dealer and claims to be trying to establish contacts in London. They begin to make Renton's life miserable again. He moves them into an apartment that the company has been unable to rent to anyone, and Renton's boss catches them.
Mr. Murphy, do you mean that you lied on your application?
No. Well, yeah, oh yes, only to get my foot in the door. Showing initiative and that, like.
But you were referred here by the Department of Employment. There was no need for you to get your foot in the door, as you put it.
Yeah, cool. Whatever you say, man. Sorry, you're the man, the dude in the chair.
The three of them travel back to Edinburgh together. Back in Edinburgh, Tommy has passed away from complications related to his HIV. Spud has been released from prison, and the whole gang comes back together to attend Tommy's funeral. After the funeral, Sick Boy tells Renton about a heroin deal that the group plans to carry out, but he needs Renton to provide half of the £4,000 needed to buy the drugs. Renton initially refuses, but eventually gives in. It turns out that the group also needs him to test a sample of heroin to make sure it is good. The four travel to London and sell the heroin to a dealer. As they celebrate, Renton secretly suggests to Spud that they could both leave with the money, but Spud, motivated by fear of Begbie and loyalty, refuses. As the others are still sleeping the following morning, Renton quietly takes the money. Spud sees him leave but says nothing to the others. Begbie wakes up, destroys their hotel room in violent rage, and gets arrested while Spud and Sick Boy flee the scene. Renton's voiceover tells the audience that he plans to live a stable, ordinary life, echoing his Choose Life monologue from the opening sequence. He leaves Spud his share of the money in a lockbox because he feels bad for Spud, who never tried to hurt anyone.
We'll help you, son. You'll stay here with us till you get better. We're gonna beat this together.
Maybe I should go back to the clinic.
No. No clinics. No methadone. It only made you worse. You said so yourself. You lied to us, son. Your own mother and father.
You could bring us some jellies.
No! You're worse coming off that than you are with the heroin. Nothing at all.
It's a clean break this time.
You're staying here where we can keep an eye on you.
I appreciate what you're trying to do, I really do.
Trainspotting is probably one of the most honest movies ever made about drug addiction. The main character paints a very sad and tragic picture when he says, "The streets are awash with drugs you can have for unhappiness and pain, and we took them all." Many people who are depressed or unhappy may drink or abuse drugs to lift their mood or escape from feelings of guilt or despair. But eventually, drugs only make things worse, and Trainspotting shows the grim consequences of drug addiction. It tells its story not from the detached point of view of someone who knows better, but from a realistic perspective of the addicts themselves. I'm your host, Anna, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. You can find more on Funday website. Stay tuned.